We got a full show. We're going to dive into it, and we're going to start with something I noticed yesterday after a quick reminder that today's show is brought to us by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is a one day only event. FanDuel, play your game when you want. And as always, if you have winning FanDuel tickets, make sure you send them in to us. Carmen Santana sent us this winning ticket a day before her birthday, which is tomorrow. So happy early birthday to Carmen Santana. But she hit a 5-part home run parlay. Schwarber, Soto, Shea Langoliers, Shohei,
40,
and Giancarlo
All right, so what did she put on it? What'd she put on it?
Bet $2, won $812 last night. So shout out to Carmen Santana. It is a terrific win. And as always, if you have winning FanDuel tickets, make sure you guys send them in to us as
Should have
well.
bet more.
That's crazy. Like, how do you do a home run parlay? Like,
She hit it.
I feel like you could do that for a whole month and not hit.
I said this before. It's why I'm such a degenerate gambler. When I lose, I'm angry, and when I win, I'm angry, because I always say I should have bet more. Should have bet more.
Should have bet 10.
I could have
Should've bet
retired.
10. That's right.
Greed is a funny thing.
Yeah, I try and stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
All right, let's dive into our first topic, guys. I'm wondering if FanDuel would put out a line on how many games this year Joe Flacco would start, and if they did, what that number would be. The Browns officially named Flacco the starting quarterback on Monday. Kevin Stefanski talked about it yesterday. Joe Flacco also talked about it yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys listened to both of their press conferences, but essentially when both Stefanski and Flacco were asked, how long do you expect Joe to be the starter? And when Joe was asked, is this your job forever? Is this your job just for Week 1? They both kind of avoided answering the question. They gave a very vague answer. Flacco said, we all know how this works. Stefanski said, we're just proud of Joe for earning the Week 1 job. So, Jason, I'll start with you on this. We know Flacco's going to start against Cincinnati barring an injury. But is it his job for the foreseeable future? Is this something you think we're going to be having a conversation about every week to start the season?
It better not be his job for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure why he's here. I guess we know why he's here now. Everybody else is hurt. They don't want to play the rookies. No, listen. This year's the year you got to figure out what you got. You got to figure out what you have so you know what you need. And playing a 40-year-old quarterback does not solve any of that. So, I mean, I've said all offseason I thought Kenny would start. Obviously, he's hurt. Had he not been hurt, I'm pretty sure I was right, and he would have started. I think he'll start when he's healthy. He's going to get the first turn on the carousel. They got to play all these guys, man. They got to see what they've got. And by playing Joe, every snap, this is nothing against Joe. He's a total pro. He's a joy to be around in the locker room. He's an adult who meets his responsibilities, and that hasn't always been the case with quarterbacks in Bria. But every snap he takes this year just kind of feels like a wasted snap to me. So I want to see Kenny Pickett. I want to see Dillon Gabriel. I want to see Shedeur Sanders. I want to see these guys in live game action and see what they've got. You put an over-under. It's so hard to predict the future. You know, I could see a scenario where they go back to Joe late in the season. I think he's only going to get the first couple of games. And as soon as Pickett's hamstring allows him to play, I think you'll probably see him. And then when they deem that the rookies are ready, you'll probably see them. Jimmy Haslam said as much, by the way. If you go back and listen to his press conference, he basically said, yeah, we got to get a look at all these guys. So, no, I think any idea that Joe Flacco is going to play 17 games, I think is foolish. I would probably put the over-under somewhere around 4 or 5.
Wow.
And I would like to take the under on that.
All right, so a couple things. Number one, I don't disagree with you that it's most likely going to be short-lived because they probably want to get Kenny Pickett in there as soon as they possibly can. There's a reason why he's here. Mm-hmm. He probably would be starting if he were healthy right now. The other thing is, you know, I think Flacco is a hell of a player. I know he's old, all that stuff. I don't think he's going to stay healthy for 17 games, so I don't think he's going to play 17 games.
Right.
But I hope it's longer than a couple of weeks. That would mean that Joe's playing well and that the Browns are winning. And I don't know who the hell doesn't want to win some games and you know, try and recreate any sort of magic that he had 2 years ago. Anybody out there who watched last season would kill for that with this team. Will it happen? I don't know. I hope it does.
You know, this is going to be funny. I look at it like this. whenever you see Joe Flacco, and this happens a lot, your plans, the way you want to go and how you want to move with things, your plans always seem to change. Now, I'm 43. I partially tore my Achilles heel by just getting out of the shower. Dude, like, I just saw Jason Tatum get hurt, and I saw Kobe Bryant and then his career get hurt. Like Tyvus said it yesterday, I don't wish any injuries on anybody, but I just know what 41-year-old bodies feel like. Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is, and it's playing the most dangerous sport in the world. So, would it surprise me if he only played a week or so or a couple of weeks? No, because, I think there's a reason why he's been on bubble wrap. I think there's a reason why they're like, nah, it does us no good to see this. But for me to keep this conversation interesting, do you know what kind of mixed emotions it'll be if the Cleveland Browns get off to a start that people didn't think?
Like what? 500 start?
Nah, like
3-2,
4-1, 4-2.
It'll be mixed. People will be ecstatic.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Because I think the Cleveland Browns have a plan that they've already had in motion. It is working behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
The plan is already in. But the wheels of motion always seem to halt when you talk about, oh, goodness, he's winning. Because then, now when people talk about the locker room, you can't take him out. I don't care what you thought. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at that point, you got people like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward looking around like, hold on, what do you mean? And especially if you get off to a 4-1 and 4-2 start with this schedule. Because these ain't no cupcakes, right? These are the Ravens, these are the Bengals, the Pack. These are teams that all made the playoffs last year, except for the Bengals, and they get off to a tough start every year. But I'm gonna throw it to you. What happens if they do, say, for instance, get off to a 4-1 start? What does that look like?
To your point, right now, I mean, let's see what injuries look like and what health looks like. I'd probably lean toward picking the Browns in Week 1 to beat Cincinnati, actually. I don't know that I'd pick them any games after that, but I'd probably lean. Right now, I'm heavily thinking about it.
I saw that defense, Dustin.
Burrow does not like playing against the Browns.
At all.
No.
Week 1 at home.
It's at home.
We'll see what the weather's like.
It's a tricky spot for the Bengals.
Yes. And they've had a disjointed camp with all this crap around their rookie, around Trey Hendrickson, so it has not been smooth sailing for them. I think being a divisional game, we've talked about, oh man, look at that start. That start's brutal. Mm-hmm. It is. It's a brutal start. But division games at home are still winnable. Would they be favored? No. Would I be shocked if they won? No. But to your other point, it's funny because I was talking to a GM of a team who went through a rebuild a few years ago, and very blatantly, they did not want to win. They did not want to win. They wanted a high pick.
Yeah.
And he was joking with me. Yeah, I'd be in the suite drinking every time we were winning a game. Like, guys, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing here. But players want to win. Coaches coach to win. It's the front office guys, and we've talked about this before. They try and put a thumb on the scale to make sure you can't win, either by roster construction or whatever. We talked about it. Look how bad that offense was. Their top 2 picks were defensive players. They're telling you what they're doing, but you're still trying to win the game. So, yeah. Fans would be ecstatic with a 4-1 start. Fans don't care about a quarterback next year. They care about right now. Right. I totally get that. But I promise you, there's people upstairs in Bria that are drinking heavily if they're 4-1 going, well, now what are we supposed to do?
That is why, Dustin, I love football, because it's unpredictable.
It is.
You don't know. You can say what you're going to be, but those people in the field are playing for jobs and fighting for positions. And Joe Flacco, if you ask him, you saw the interview with Didi, he's been saying he probably wanted to play in the preseason. He's probably telling them, give me all the reps possible. So you think he's going to go out there and not do as much as he can to put numbers on the board and stay there?
Oh, man, listen, the conversation we're having right now, he knows that conversation is being had by us and by people in that building, and he doesn't like it. Like, he doesn't want to lose this job. I mean, he's here to start, and he's 40 years old, and he knows his time is running out, and this may be his last opportunity to actually be a starting quarterback. Like, he's not going to give it up easy.
No.
Like, he's going to go out there and try to ball. And look, if he does, and he puts up numbers, and more so the touchdown numbers, and pull the interceptions down, like cut those in half, dude, there's no telling where he could go this year.
And one thing with Flacco, as opposed to Pickett, it's in just a world where Pickett was named a starter and he did exactly what you just laid out that Flacco could do. Flacco has a connection with the city, G. And go back to 2023, that December. I've been here since 22. You guys obviously have much more experience here in Cleveland. He was a god for that month. Mm-hmm. He brought the city together in a way I personally have not seen a quarterback do in Cleveland. If he gets off to that start, G, it's going to bring back all the nostalgia from that December of 2023 100%. Where they ended up going on that 4-1 run, where they beat the Jets on Thursday Night Football to clinch the playoff berth. And as someone who lives downtown, like, the city was ready to burn down that night in excitement, in a good way. There was a buzz, there was an energy, and I do think because of that history that Flacco has here, although I hear what you're saying, they would be so invested and so excited to have a winning quarterback leading their team when expectations were so low that everything else would go out there.
Everything you said is 100% right. Here's the only thing I'll say. How often is the sequel as good as the original?
That's the thing.
Rare.
It's rare.
And
we're clinging to those 6 games like we clung to the second half against Baltimore.
Yes, we are.
Air in the lungs of those 6 games, and the fact is he's 2 years older now. He didn't look great with the Colts last year. He's okay. Didn't look great, though. And the sequel is very rarely as good as the original.
This is why this is all riveting. Like, if whoever you think that you want to play or you should start, the storylines is like something that I ain't seen no storylines like this in a minute. They brought another dude. They brought Flacco back, the dude that brought you to the playoffs, right? Like, they went to your rival, the Steelers, and took the quarterback from them, put him on the ride. You're like, what the heck is this? You drafted one of the most famous peoples on the face of the earth, and you have Dillon Gabriel, the consummate underdog. And you say, all right, well, we're going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and we're going to start with the veteran. And you don't know. I can't predict it. If you ask me how many games they're going to play, I don't know. Because if Joe Flacco, here's the one thing I do know about Joe Flacco. He can throw the ball. I don't care what you say. Joe Flacco could throw the football. I saw him come in here and throw for 300 week after week after week after week.
Yep.
If they're going to run play action, you're going to say, dang, that dude is old. And the difference with this is, too, Joe Flacco got one of them arms where it's like, when you see it, you just be like, oh, that's different a little bit. It just looked different on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Did you hear the dudes on the Barstool podcast talking about Flacco?
I didn't. What he said.
They're just like, he could play till he's 50. He throws the prettiest ball they've ever seen. And I kind of agree with him. It's like when you watch the ball leave his hand on a deep ball, the arc, the spiral, it's like that's how a perfect football should be thrown.
And it's cheating because, and here's what I will say. People were asking me, and this is just strictly from a football standpoint, right? When you look at Joe Flacco, you say, well, why did they pick him at quarterback, right? You know me, I'm playing young dudes. I don't know. You already know what G. Bush going to say. But here's the thing, from a football standpoint, he's ahead of them because the thing that Kevin Stefanski hangs his hat on is the thing that is his bread and butter. Like, learning the steps to play action passing and fakes and things like that, that's second nature. That's in his DNA. So he's comfortable with turning his back, sitting there for 4.5 seconds, waiting for somebody not to be there. That's a level of understanding that it takes timing, it takes different disciplines, and the fact that he can come in and do that right now is the reason why he's kind of like a cheat code. He's like, I don't need to play because I've been doing this forever.
Jason, I wanted to ask you this. You mentioned it earlier in your answer, and I kind of picked up on this from Stefanski in particular yesterday as well. But you said you still believe Kenny Pickett would have been the starter if he had been healthy throughout this process. And Mary Kay asked him that directly yesterday, and he basically – he didn't say he would have been, but he said despite the injury, he was still up in the thick of the QB1 conversation till the very end, and he's just frankly not healthy enough. You'll die on the hill that you think had Pickett not sustained that hamstring injury, he'd be the week 1 starter.
I mean, isn't it obvious at this point? Do you guys disagree with that?
Here's the thing. I don't agree with their decision, but evidently from, like I said before, from looking at their depth chart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not asking do you agree with it.
No. Yeah, but looking at the depth chart, it seems that they was going to play him.
And I want to clarify,
Yeah.
Jason never championed for Kenny Pickett.
And that is
because
correct.
He spiked him as a player. Jason always said, I think this is what
This
the
is
Browns
what they
is where they're gonna
This
go.
is what they're going to
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And it because we were so against it, and some of us like me, I'm still against it. But it ain't got nothing to do with I'm against. It's the fact that guess what? They planned on doing it.
That's what they were going to do.
Like because right now, if you look at the performance, like he hasn't really practiced or played, and he's still
Yeah.
ahead of the rookies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like they were going to play him. Now here's the thing. Here's the interesting point that I will ask you guys this question. Now I'll ask you first, Dustin.
Okay.
Given have you ever been in a race and there's a competition at different positions? How often do NFL teams still monitor the progress that you make after the preseason game that you may be making in practice, or is there not an opportunity to do that because they're giving runs?
That's a good point. There really is no more competition. Like once camp ends, for the most part, it's done because there's no opportunities in practice. I mean, once you get into the regular season, it's about game planning and preparing for your opponent. And the reps that I would get as a backup would be scout team reps, essentially at that point. You might get a couple here or there, as a two. But for the most part, no. There's nothing you're doing that's like, wow, Fox is really coming along.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
So
you're running cards, dude.
So you only get in the game. It got to be performance based on the guy who's playing or injury.
Facts.
Okay, so that actually, I was going to mention this later in the next topic, but I think it fits since you went there. I was writing something this morning on this whole quarterback thing, and it got my mind going. Where is Shedeur reps going to come from if he's fourth?
Scout team.
Practice squad, basically.
Yeah, I mean
He's a de facto practice squad
He's not
player.
going to be running our offense.
That's where I was going
Yeah.
with it. So if you're fourth, you're basically you may not be on the
he'll
practice
he'll
squad, but you are on the practice
He's Joe
squad.
Burrow, week 1
Yeah.
in practice.
So now
And
you're
He's running.
You're running the
yeah,
other team
exactly.
stuff. So the place where he's going to have to make gains is in the film room.
Correct.
He's going to have to show them that he's ready for larger responsibility based off his work in the film room because he's not going to be able to show it on the field.
And they may have some opportunities in some walkthroughs and things like that, but they're not going to take away. They're not going to take away reps from whoever's starting that game. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those practices are not. The reps are too valuable.
So when you get into game prep, the starter gets what, 90%, 95%?
I'd say 90,
90.
maybe 85, 90. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're carrying three quarterbacks, the other two split to 10?
No, I mean, I would say this. I mean, it's probably going to be, assuming Pickett's the backup.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be Flacco like week 1. Flacco would take 85, 90% of those reps, and then Pickett would take the other 10%. I mean, I don't
so
see
then what's
Gabriel
the
or
third guy doing?
scout team.
But then what's the fourth guy doing?
Those guys will split reps.
So they're splitting.
Yeah, because that doesn't matter. I
So-
mean, those guys just have to. They got to have somebody, throwing to this.
Like when we sit here, because I've said yeah, I could see him carrying four. But when you talk through it,
they're only carrying them so that no one else picks them up.
right? When you talk through it, there is nothing for the rookies to do once we get into the season.
By the way, this is oh god.
They're stashing these guys,
Okay.
man. That's
Yeah.
all they're doing. They're saying, look, it's going to be probably a rough year. We're willing to accept the fact that we're basically playing with a 52-man roster and everyone else is playing with 53.
Yeah.
So what
And
you,
eventually they'll get their chance. Go ahead,
Yeah.
G.
so what
Yeah,
you
sorry.
telling me, and I hate to do this because I don't want to go that far down the road, but I am a crystal ball type guy. So let's just indulge me here. So you telling me?
And you went like Silky Johnston right there.
Yeah, let me get to this point. So there's a possibility in your world where next year the Cleveland Browns have a rookie quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, and we're talking about another competition.
No, because one of those guys.
One of
won't
those
be
guys
here.
will be gone.
Yeah.
Or
So
shipped off. Or
I mean,
And it'll probably be.
Gabriel
it'll
will
make
be gone,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
so
If they take a quarterback for in the first round next year,
if
one of those rookies is gone.
But here's the thing, then you extrapolate it to this. Can you literally have Shedeur Sanders as a backup quarterback? Is it possible?
Gee, that's been on my list of topics since the day they drafted him, and I didn't have the balls to put in a rundown yet. So just
There you go. Like we're gonna get to the big, because here's the thing. He can play, right? At that point, like he'll be in the system a couple of years, so he'll come in. But if you've drafted a quarterback in the first round, and we talked about the third round versus fifth round this year, if you got a choice to keep Shedeur Sanders,
The first rounder's getting every rep in that split.
The first rounder is gonna get it, right? But if Shedeur Sanders is the backup, are you worried about the fact that that's the biggest monolith standing behind a person that you can have as a rookie?
I want to back up for 1 second. Did you say Dillon would be the rookie gone?
I think so.
See, I think it'd be the other way.
You think Shedeur?
And the reason I asked that question is, I don't listen. I watched the way Dillon Gabriel answered that question, right? And I don't think he, like I said, I explained. I don't think he meant anything by it. But
nothing by it.
But what I think was, it's visible that the pressure is visible.
Well, I think that
it's
palpable.
It's palpable, and you can see it because I would say if it's me, and I said I feel sorry for him because think about it, everything that he does is attached to another person.
Yeah,
his name,
and that's the thing about this is, I think it's clear. Dillon is Kevin's guy. Can we agree on that? Kevin loves Dillon.
Well, listen, I just keep going back to defer. The depth chart tells me what you like.
Don't listen to what they say. Just look at what they do.
Yeah, what they do. Don't
just
tell me what they're doing. Like, because like
he don't say nothing to begin with.
Yeah,
just look at what they're doing.
What he's doing, because I've always said he's been outplayed by Shedeur Sanders, but that depth chart keeps saying every time we get a chance to move it.
Yeah.
What the depth chart say?
Kevin loves Dillon.
Okay.
Like, I don't think that's controversial, right? Can we, like, is that controversial at all?
No. I don't think so.
I agree.
Okay.
Personally.
So all you've done by bringing Shedeur here is cut the legs off the dude that you wanted, and you won't play the other guy anyway, and they're not playing the other guy anyway. You see, like, all they've done is created all of this noise around Dillon, who's the guy the head coach wanted in the first place. And, I mean, these guys grew up in the social media era. Of course Dillon sees and hears everything going on. They can say they don't, they do. They hear it all the time, that Dillon hears all the time how small he is and how he sucks and Shedeur should be getting all the reps. Every time you walk past the TV, that's all anybody's talking about across the country is the third and fourth string quarterbacks on one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I mean, think about that. So, of course, it's going to have an impact on him. So what was the purpose in doing – because I was all for two quarterbacks. I was with you. Like, yeah, take two quarterbacks. But when the second one is the second one that they took and the shadow that he casts, all you've done is cut the leg, whether you like Dillon or not.
Yeah.
As a fan.
Yeah.
All that the team has done is cut the legs off the dude that they wanted in the first place.
And you put a guy – look, the thing is, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I thought that they thought, all right, well, listen, Shedeur ain't got no reps. He ain't doing really – he's not doing nothing. We're not giving him the opportunity. Maybe I thought they would put him out there and he wouldn't perform as well, and they say, well, okay, look, we gave it a shot. But then when he played well, it was like now it's fuel to the fire. Now it's like now you got a bunch of people that's like, oh, we saw him play. We want to see it again, and we want to see it again, and we want to see it again, and pretty soon. It works right now when we give you the scenario of Flacco is winning and he's 4-1 and things. But let me tell you something, man. If it's 1-4, things get ugly very quickly.
And we know what the fans are going to call for if that is the case, G.
You know it. Like this,
and it's not going to be Kenny Pickett.
No.
And it's not going to be Dillon Gabriel.
It's going to be like Joe Flacco said, and I respect his maturity, Dustin. He says, we all know how this goes.
We all know how this goes.
Like he know, like I like what I can respect of him is he's like he probably wanted to say I'm going to play as long as I'm putting numbers on the board. Yeah. As long as I'm putting numbers on the board,
Facts.
I'll keep the job. Other than that, they're looking for the first opportunity to get me up out of there.
Yeah, and that's the reality, and that should be the case.
It.
I mean, you're 40, dude. Like no one balls in their 40s.
Yeah,
I mean, Brady did it, but he's an anomaly. Like no one else has done it.
This is fascinating because I've always said it, man. If you want to talk about the 2-track year, there's multiple scenarios that you can extrapolate. It's like Doctor Strange where he got all the outcomes and just looking for. I looked over 1,000 outcomes. It's wild, Jason.
I I do think all four of them are going to get their opportunity. I think all four of them are going to start games for the Browns this year. I think Shedeur will be last.
Over under how many games? 6.
For
Shedeur?
Yeah.
Under. And I say that as someone who has said all along, I hope when we get to the end of the year, Shedeur has started more games than anyone. Mm-hmm. But realistically, again, don't pay attention to what they're saying. Just watch what they're doing. How is he getting? Unless there's a ton of injuries, how does he get to 6?
You can't. Here's what I'm gonna say. You can't get mad at Jason Lloyd today because he's saying it's not me. I didn't tell him that.
Isn't your opinion?
It's not what I think they should do.
He's saying what they gonna do or what they looking like they doing. And you know what? I gotta agree. It looked like they got him 4th, and that's how they feel about it.
So he'll be 4th because he ain't moving up now. If he ain't moved up yet, he ain't moving up.
After I seen what I seen, he ain't move up. I said, "Oh, here we go. Let's go, Big Nuggets."
It's just crazy, guys. That our 4th-string quarterback is like the top-selling jersey
It's
on the team. Morgan Wallen came out and did the Rolex thing.
Yeah.
He did paid homage to our 4th-string quarterback.
I said, who did I tell to? That was somebody on the show. I said if Shedeur walks him out with Miles Saturday night,
it's over.
They will melt the stadium.
Oh, it would have.
But
they didn't.
I wonder if the Browns put a stop to that. You know what I mean? Of like,
they might have.
Miles, you go ahead. No.
AB like, nah, bro. We gonna wait this out a little bit, man.
Did you hear the mic'd up of AB and Shedeur on the sidelines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funniest thing ever I've ever seen.
Very cool.